Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. Manchester United have drawn Athletico Madrid in the last 16 of the Champions League. The draw had to be redone. In the original draw, Manchester United got PSG. It will be a difficult game against Athletico Madrid. The Athletico Madrid manager is Diego Simeone. He's been Athletico Madrid manager since 2011, so he's been with them over a decade. And Atletico Madrid have got some good players in their team. Obviously they've got Luis Suarez. Don't forget Luis Suarez is a former Liverpool player. They've got Griezmann on loan from Barcelona. Well, Griezmann was at Atletico Madrid before Barcelona. He endured around 5 years with them. Atletico Madrid have also got Joe Felix. Revert back to a while ago, Manchester United went in for him. Atletico Madrid have also got Kieran Trippier. Kieran Trippier has been linked with a move to Manchester United before. Kieran Trippier is a former Tottenham player. They've also got Thomas Lemar in their team. Thomas Lemar was at Monaco before. Atletico Madrid have also got Koke. They've got Hector Herrera. They've got Jimenez. They've got Yannick Carrasco. They've got Marcos Llorente. Obviously, one of their goalkeepers is Jan Oblak. So there you go. By the way, David De Gea will be reuniting with Atletico Madrid because before Manchester United, De Gea was at Atletico Madrid. So there you go. Now Manchester United play Brentford tomorrow night at the Brentford Community Stadium. It's a 7:30 kick-off. Now the game is expected to go ahead as things stand. Yesterday it said Manchester United's game against Brentford is at risk of being postponed after Man United were hit by a COVID outbreak. A small number of players and staff tested positive, so they were sent home. If Manchester United beat Brentford tomorrow night, that'll be 4 wins in a row in the Premier League. Manchester United are coming into this game against Brentford on the back of a 1-0 win against Norwich. The goal against Norwich came from a Cristiano Ronaldo penalty. Ronaldo won the penalty as he got dragged down by Max Aarons. Ronaldo now has 13 goals in all competitions for Man United since he re-signed. And he's got 802 goals in his career. It was a poor performance against Norwich. And Rangnick did mention that he was unimpressed with his side's lack of intensity against Norwich. So Rangnick is demanding more from Manchester United. Reflecting on the win against Norwich, it's back-to-back wins in the Premier League for Ralph Rangnick as Manchester United manager. Rangnick is unbeaten so far. So he's enjoyed a good start to his managerial career. Rangnick is Manchester United's interim manager until the end of the season. Then after that, Rangnick will take a consultancy role for a further 2 years. If Rangnick does well as the interim manager, there's a chance that he'll get the Man United job on a permanent basis. Before the Norwich game, ESPN said that Rangnick has got a midfield plan at Manchester United. Calvin Phillips, Jude Bellingham and Amadou Haidara are key targets for Rangnick. And Rangnick told bosses at Man United that their midfield is weak in his interview for the job. Rangnick has been given a £100 million transfer budget for January. Rangnick's got to heavily invest if he is to succeed at Manchester United. Before Manchester United, he was the head of sports and development at Lokomotiv Moscow. As you all know, Manchester United are missing players. Lindelof is out at the moment. Lindelof had to come off against Norwich as he was suffering breathing difficulties and he had chest pains. I don't think Lindelof will be risked for this game against Brentford. I think he's going to go with Bailly ahead of Lindelof. Amon Wan-Bissaka, he's still out with injury. He came off injured in the 1-1 draw against Young Boys. Pogba, he's still out with a thigh injury. Pogba is out for the rest of the year. Rafael Varane, he's still out with a hamstring injury, but he's close to returning. Edison Cavani's still out, but he's close to returning. Martial recently picked up an injury. So they're the injuries Man United have got. Matic is out with a cold and Juan Mata has got illness. But this game against Brentford will be a tough game for Manchester United. Because Brentford are enjoying a very good season to their standards. The 10th now in the Premier League. Before the games yesterday, Brentford were 9th. This season has been Brentford's first ever season in the Premier League. Before this season, the last time Brentford were in the top flight was back in 1947, which is around 74 years ago now. Brentford won their last game against Watford 2-1. And Brentford have got good players in their team. Revert back to what I mentioned on the preview. They've got Brian Mbeumo. That's very good. They've got Ivan Toney. That's very, very good. Ivan Toney's probably one of the best players that Brentford have got. Ivan Toney was recently out with COVID. I don't think he's got it now. Brentford have also got Max Haygarth. He's an attacking player. They've also got Marcus Fors. They've also got Tariq Fosu. Tariq Fosu is out with injury at the moment. They've got Joshua De Silva, he's out with injury at the moment. They've also got Sergi Canos, he's another good player. They've got Ethan Pinnock, he's out with COVID at the moment. They've also got Shandon Baptiste, he's good. They've got Christian Norgard, he's another good player. They've got Charlie Good, Joe Valencia. They've got Pontus Jansson. Pontus Jansson is a former Leeds player. They've also got Rico Henry, Finn Stevens. So yeah, they are quite a few of the players that Brentford have got. Let me put into the equation that Brentford lost Ollie Watkins to Aston Villa, and they also lost Ben Rama to West Ham. The Brentford manager is Thomas Frank. Thomas Frank has been Brentford manager for over 3 years now. He's under contract with Brentford until 2023. Before he was the manager of Brentford, he was the Brentford assistant, and then before that he managed Bromby, and before he obviously managed Denmark's under 16s, Denmark's under 17s and Denmark's under 19s. But you've got to give Thomas Frank credit because he really has transformed Brentford. Manchester United's next game after Brentford is Brighton. Brighton is at the weekend. Now I can assure at the end of the season that Manchester United will get a permanent manager. There's been quite a few names linked with the permanent role at Man United. Obviously, Erik Ten Hag has been spoken about. Revert back to earlier on in the season, it said Erik Ten Hag is said to be interested in the Manchester United job in the summer, and Ajax will not stand in his way if he wants to leave at the end of the season. Now, revert back to the other week, Edwin van der Sar spoke about Manchester United's interest in Erik Ten Hag, and Edwin van der Sar believes Ajax may lose Erik Ten Hag in the summer. Reports were saying last week that Edwin van der Sar expects a Man United role in the future. I'd like to see Edwin van der Sar come back to the club because Edwin van der Sar endured 6 years as a goalkeeper for Man United. Obviously now Edwin van der Sar is a CEO of Ajax. He's worked as a CEO at Ajax since 2016. Revert back to the other week, Roberto Mancini was also mentioned. It did say that Manchester United consider hiring Roberto Mancini instead of Mauricio Pochettino. But recently, Roberto Mancini denied becoming Manchester United's next permanent manager. Revert back to earlier on in the season, Rodgers was linked with a permanent role at Man United. I initially disregarded Brendan Rodgers because Brendan Rodgers dismissed links to the Man United job. He come out and said that I'm proud to be at Leicester. But at one point it did say that Rodgers was house hunting in Cheshire. So that stirred some suggestions up, and at that point it said Rodgers was the favourite to replace Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and of course Pochettino has been spoken about. But revert back to earlier on this season, Pochettino said a few times that he's happy at PSG, and he did mention that he won't let the Man United rumours distract him. Man United made an approach for Pochettino, but PSG rejected Man United's approach. But earlier on in the season, there was reports circulating out saying that Pochettino's interested in the Manchester United job. And it said, Manchester United agreed to pay the 10 million compensation fee for him. Revert back to when Man United sacked Jose Mourinho. Manchester United should have got Pochettino then, but the club decided to go with Solskjaer instead. Pochettino is a good manager, even though he's hardly won anything. I think he has won a French Cup at PSG. He's got a full season left on his PSG contract. He's proven in the Premier League as well, because revert back to before, Pochettino managed Tottenham. He endured 5.5 years with them. Don't forget he got Tottenham to their first ever Champions League final back in 2018, and at one point when he was Tottenham manager he almost won the Premier League with them. And before he managed Southampton, only endured a short tenure with them, but he still managed to guide Southampton to their highest ever finish in the Premier League. So there you go. Manchester United have sacked 4 permanent managers since Ferguson. Manchester United sacked David Moyes after 10 months. Then Man United sacked Louis van Gaal after 2 years. We did win the FA Cup under Van Gaal. Then Manchester United sacked Jose Mourinho after 2.5 years. Mourinho did enjoy one good season at Man United because he did win 3 trophies in his first season. And then over 3 weeks ago, Manchester United sacked Ole Gunnar Solskjaer following the 4-1 defeat to Watford. So they are the 4 permanent managers that have been sacked since Ferguson. Now, of course, next year, Manchester United are going to offload players. Obviously, the news on Anthony Martial. Prior to the Norwich game, Martial's agent confirmed that Anthony Martial wants to leave Manchester United in January, because Martial wants more game time and he's getting nowhere near enough game time at Manchester United. Martial has only started 2 games in the league this season. Martial's out of injury at the moment, like I mentioned earlier on. Martial's no longer good enough to represent the club. I think Martial's only endured 1 good season at Man United. That was his debut season under Louis van Gaal. Manchester United paid an initial fee of 36 million for Martial, rises up to around 57-58 million with add-ons included. Martial scored 79 goals in 268 appearances in all competitions. Martial's been at Manchester United for 6.5 years. He's got 3 years left on his contract. The last game Martial played was a 2-0 win against Villarreal, when obviously Carrick was the interim manager. Martial started on the left-hand side in that game. Edinson Cavani, he's also leaving the club next year. I'm hearing that he's wanted by Juventus. Barcelona are also keen on signing Edinson Cavani in January, but only for a modest price. We'll revert back to earlier on the season. Cavani says he's interested in making a move to Barcelona. Cavani's out with injury at the moment, but close to returning. He had an injury earlier on this season. Cavani initially lost his place in the team with the club re-signing Ronaldo last summer. Manchester United got Cavani on a free transfer from PSG, and this season is Cavani's second full season at Man United. Cavani's contract at Man United expires next summer. Jesse Lingard, he's also leaving the football club next year. I'm hearing that Newcastle want Jesse Lingard, and not so long ago I heard that Newcastle are preparing a contract offer. Revert back to earlier on in the season, it said West Ham want to re-sign Lingard. Well, at the second half of last season, Lingard enjoyed a 4-month loan spell with West Ham and he made an impact. I heard earlier on this season that Lingard wants to go abroad. Lingard doesn't really get in the team. He's only started 2 games this season. The BBC said earlier on this season that Lingard's future at Man United is in doubt after talks over a new contract collapsed. You know, Lingard's current contract at Man United expires next summer, but if we do sell him in January, I reckon we can get around £10 million for him. Juan Mata, he's another player who I think's going next year. Mata doesn't really get in the team. Mata's contract at Man United expires next summer. Because revert back to earlier on in the year, Juan Mata extended his contract for another year. Don't ask me why. Juan Mata is aging up and he has lost that yard of pace, but despite that, he's had a good career at Man United. You know, Mata's made over 200 appearances in all competitions and he's scored over 50 goals for the club. And he's been at Man United for 8 years, so he's been a long-serving player. Manchester United got Juan Mata from Chelsea back in 2014 for around 40 million. We brought him in under the David Moyes era. Donny van der Beek, there's a good chance that he'll be leaving in January because he's not getting enough opportunities at Man United. He didn't start against Norwich recently, but he did come on. He started in the 1-1 draw against Young Boys, but that was a meaningless game, wasn't it, against Young Boys? He was in an unfamiliar role against Young Boys last week. He was the holding midfielder. He put a good performance out against Young Boys last week, apart from the poor pass that he made that led to the Young Boys equaliser. But I think the only way we can persuade Van der Beek to stay, and that's if he gets the opportunities he's been demanding under Rangnick. Revert back to when we had Solskjaer, you know, Van der Beek got nowhere near enough opportunities, and reflecting on that, Van der Beek was very frustrated. Very frustrated. Well, towards the end of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's managerial tenure, you know, Van der Beek actually confirmed that he will be leaving in January. He's only scored 2 goals for the club and he's been a Manchester United player for over a year and a half now as Van der Beek. And this season's been his second full season at Man United. Man United got him for 40 million if you to include the add-ons. We paid like 35 million up front, there was 5 million in add-ons. He's got a contract with Man United till 2025. There's an option of a further year. And he's versatile. He can play in 3 different roles. Matic, I think he's also leaving as well next year. Matic isn't one of our first choice midfielders, but despite that, he still seems to get his opportunities. Surprisingly enough, he's been ahead of Van der Beek in our midfield. Matic is the only predominant centre defensive mid we've got. I've got my reservations about Matic because he's always been a static midfielder and he's ageing up, but he has had his good games at Man United. Matic is out with a cold at the moment, revert back to what I mentioned earlier, but he started in the 1-1 draw against Young Boys last week. Surprisingly, he was playing as a centre-half. I don't think he'll be deployed as a centre-half again. You know, Matic has been at Manchester United for 4.5 years now. Is it 5 years? Manchester United got Matic from Chelsea back in 2017 for 40 million. Paul Pogba, if he leaves next year, he will leave next summer. He won't leave in January, midway through the season. Now, prior to the Norwich game, it did mention that Ralph Rangnick will not try to persuade Paul Pogba to stay at Manchester United if he wants to go. You know, Pogba's current contract at Man United expires next summer. Revert back to the start of the season, Pogba rejected a new Man United contract offer. As you all know, Pogba's not available at the moment. He's out with a thigh injury. He's out for the rest of the year. Pogba got the thigh injury in France training earlier on this season. But Pogba's had a long-running transfer saga, hasn't he? You know, he's been linked to Real Madrid relentlessly. He's been linked to his former club Juventus. PSG have been in for him. Barcelona have been in for him before. And Inter Milan have been in for him before. Paul Pogba's agent, Mino Raiola, has been working hard now for quite some time to get his client to move away from the football club. You know, this season is Pogba's 6th season at Man United since he rejoined. You know, Pogba's won 3 trophies at the club so far, and Man United paid 89 million for him, so reflecting on that, is our most expensive signing at the moment. Our second choice fullbacks, Alex Telles and Delors, you know, there's a good chance that they'll be leaving next year. I think Jones and Eric Bailly are leaving next year, and Dean Henderson has confirmed that he wants a loan move away from Man United. He doesn't get in goal much because revert back to last summer, De Gea reclaimed the number 1 spot back. Henderson was in goal in the 1-1 draw against Young Boys last week, but that was only his 2nd appearance this season. Revert back to earlier on in the season, Henderson was out with COVID for a while. Towards the end of last season, Henderson got the number 1 jersey and he did well in a lot of the games he was in goal for last season. So there you go. So now guys, that's everything to update you with. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel if you do consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless. See you all again very, very soon. And my channel name is Red Devil 24. I do keep reminding you about that.